I grew up in the Gaza Strip, and the first Israeli attack that I survived, I was only 8 years old. I grew up knowing inside me that art is the best way of self-expression. I started painting my feelings, my stories, not only my story, but the stories of women who inspired me. My name is Malak Mattar. I'm a Palestinian artist from the Gaza Strip. I'm also an author of City's Bird, a children's book that is illustrated and written about my life story and upbringing in the Gaza Strip. In 2014, I survived the third Israeli attack. It was over 51 days of continuous, unstoppable Israeli bombardments on my city. Over a quarter of my neighborhood was gone. But what really changed my life is seeing my neighbor. She was killed by one of these Israeli bombardments. And seeing this in person and seeing the very graphic details of her loss has caused a mental breakdown of me losing my life too. So I started having storms of difficult emotions, of fear, of horror, of also the uncertainty of life. And the only way I could tell these feelings was through art. So the first international exhibition, I was approached by a Palestinian museum in Bristol, UK. And the main topic or the main concern was how to ship the artwork, the original artwork, out of a besieged area. The Gaza Strip, we are under Israeli blockade, meaning that things have hard time getting out and getting in. It's not only for things, but also humans leaving the Gaza Strip and coming back. And there was a way, thankfully, for the paintings to leave. So the paintings, in a sense, had more freedom of movement than me, limited freedom. So for me, like leaving the Gaza Strip felt like I will finally be free to travel wherever I want, because Gaza was a prison, and once you're out of the prison, you can travel. But unfortunately, the first year in Turkey, I applied to go to my exhibitions in France and in the UK, and I was denied entry 3 times by France and by the UK. And I felt, as a Palestinian from the Gaza Strip, leaving Gaza was just, I'm just going to the bigger Gaza, which is the world, and how freedom of movement for me is not something that I would enjoy in my life. But thankfully, it started happening. I started going to exhibitions to Italy, to Germany, to Switzerland, to France, to the US, to the UK. I don't really feel the pressure of representing my people. It's in fact a joy to be able to have the platform and to have a way to tell the stories of the people who are not able to tell the stories. I don't really believe personally that there are people who are voiceless. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has a unique story. My story is unique, but also the story of Zainab al-Qawlaq, who was a Palestinian painter who lost 22 members in the last attack, is also unique. So for me, I do my best to stay true to who I am and to also represent the stories that touch me deeply, like the story of Razan, like the story of Dunyan al-Amour, who was an artist just my age, who was killed in the last Israeli attack. So to be able to be here is such a big honor and also responsibility, because as a painter, I feel I have this duty to deliver a message and to also deliver a cause of justice, because I myself feel oppressed in the Gaza Strip, having to survive all the Israeli attacks, having the hard time leaving the Gaza Strip and to travel. All these human rights are really, unfortunately, very hard to get as a Palestinian. City's Bird is, it came out of the fact that I did not really read as many children's books from the Gaza Strip, written and illustrated by Palestinians from the Gaza Strip. And I always felt like, why? Why we are not reaching the young audiences, not only in the Gaza, but also other children. For me, it's not only my story, but the stories of so many young children in the Gaza Strip, who's over 80% of them are struggling with depression, with PTSD, with a lot of difficulties growing up in a very torn region. And I do feel that people should be aware that they are also responsible in a way to visit Palestine, to be connected to Palestinians, but to also get the story out. And the more we are engaged into the Palestinian solidarity campaigns and groups and demonstrations, the more there is a pressure applied into governments to stop collaborating and to stop funding the murder of Palestinian innocent souls. There are plenty of books about Palestine, the history of Palestine, the stories, the personal stories, which is the most important way to connect with people. So people have to do the work as much as we do as Palestinians.